So the lady does say recording in progress, even when you're just by yourselves
Who knew?
recording on Zoom together. So here we are. Today is, what is the date? Today is May 21st. We are actually coming to you from Detroit on location at our second Pointing It Out podcast retreat.
Yes.
And it
And
is
for those who don't know us, we are the Pointing It Out team. We forgot the introduction.
Oh, yeah, we forgot to do that part. Thank you. Go ahead.
So I'm Melissa McLeod, and my shop is in just outside of Detroit in Grosse Pointe, Michigan, and the Wool and the Floss. And
I'm Megan Holmes. My shop is outside of St. Louis, Missouri, in Kirkwood, and it's called the Needlepoint Clubhouse. And together, Melissa and I have been doing this podcast for 2 years.
For 2 years.
It's crazy. Every time I say that, I think, is that right? Over 2 years now. So let me say this. When we first started this, first of all, we had no idea what we were really intending to do with it. What we thought we were doing was creating sort of a way for us and other people to be sort of entertained, I guess, during quarantine. We were all at home and we were trying to figure this thing out and trying to help decide where were our businesses going to go, where were we going to go, where was stitching going to go during a global pandemic. And so we didn't actually sit down and write like, a vision statement or a mission or any of those things.
We just so funny.
Yeah. So, but I think we both had the intention, the hopeful intention, to take a time when we were all so isolated in our own homes and help try to bring people who were all doing the same hobby at home together in sort of a virtual way. So we could kind of be able to connect via our hobby.
And feel like we were together and we weren't so alone.
Exactly. And so I think, and then in doing so, we also hope that we could kind of provide a little more education, insight about the industry. But I don't hope it's not too arrogant to say that I think what we've done is that. And now,
at least for 5 people.
Well, but now that we are able to get back together, we've been able to do this retreat, and the sense of community here is so cool. And I wish that all of you who watched us could be here with us, but unfortunately we have limited space. But so we did a retreat in St. Louis, and now we are here again for our second retreat. And so Melissa, kind of tell people where we are and what's happening.
So this is the first time in Detroit. Megan, as I've talked about before, has a lovely large shop. I have a cute small shop. So when we decided that we needed to do this, or we wanted to do this, I had to get creative because I couldn't have probably more than 8 people at my shop to sit all day for 2 days.
Sure.
So I think I can give Ann Fisher a little credit. We had dinner with Ann after the last retreat.
Right.
I'm not sure Megan remembers that. She's looking at me like, huh?
Wait, I was like, why are we giving Ann credit? But I mean, I love Ann, but why are we giving her credit?
Yes, because you're
exactly right.
She said, well, why don't you do a remote retreat? And I think at first said, no,
you're out of your mind.
Can't happen. But here we are. So what we have done is we're in a ballroom. This is where many weddings take place at the Book Cadillac in downtown Detroit, which is about 20 minutes from my shop.
I'm getting a really great view of the ceiling. Maybe we should do a little more of this.
Should we squat?
Panning. But
yeah,
anyway.
So there are about 60 people here. When we first started planning the retreat, I booked the venue and I booked the minibus to be on loop with the shop. And then I reached out to my dear friend Joanna Summers at the Plum Stitchery and said, you're only 2 hours away. Would you please come up for the weekend and be a vendor at the show, at the retreat? And she's like, absolutely. Well, then little did I know all these other designers would request to be guests. So then I said, don't be a guest, make it a tax deduction. You guys know I was a financial planner. I'm like, so we are so lucky. So we have about 60 stitchers here. We have 5 vendors here, and everyone's just having a great time. And I will give my staff a pat on the back. We had a great kickoff dinner at the shop last night. We took my
we had hot dogs,
dumpy little parking lot and turned it into like a party, and all Detroit themed things. We had Coney dogs and Saunders hot fudge ice cream and just all sorts of fun stuff. And so, so today we thought we would kind of give you guys a little insight into what the retreat's all about, and maybe talk to some retreat attendees.
Yeah. So we were kind of thinking, what is this podcast going to be about? And so, we wanted to let everyone see kind of what was happening here, but we also we're kind of trying to sort of come up with a theme for what is this about? And so, a along the way, yesterday and some even before, we kind of started realizing that there were a lot of connections among these stitchers who have been on all parts of the country and people coming from Canada. And there's been like these kind of weird serendipitous things happening. So not only are they finding that they have a shared hobby, but they have shared other things, and it's just crazy. And so I think
it's a small world after all.
it is. And so we just thought it might be fun for you to meet some of these people and sort of understand how the.
And some of these people are from 21 states and
wow.
the US and Canada, which I think is super cool.
Tell the other statistic too. You've got eight
mother-daughter groups, including Megan's mom is here.
My mom's here.
And yeah, so we've got 8 mother-daughter groups, which I just think is so awesome because that gives us like the satisfaction of feeling like our hobby will continue
That's
long
right.
past when we're too old and tired, after our retirement cruise is over.
Right.
Yeah.
The retirement cruise we're taking. I love that. Yes, exactly. But yeah, so there's mothers, daughters, there's some age diversity, there's some diversity of where people came from, but I think what we all came here for is to share our hobby, and it's very cool. But we also thought it would just sort of be fun to talk about some of the other ways that people have connected. So the way this is going to work is we're going to hit that little pause button.
Perfect.
I'm going to go, and Melissa's going to go back and do a few more of her. She's in charge of this thing. I'm just here. I keep saying I'm providing the color commentary. So I'm going to go grab some of our friends, and they're going to come and they're going to kind of talk to you about how they met their friend or why they're here and how they feel like the community has developed for them. So,
Okay, let's do it.
Let's do it. Ah, where's my button? There it is. Okay, so we're back. Here I am, but I have 2 friends with me, and so you know Dana as a Lost Southern Belle. Is that how we call that? And maybe you know Michelle as
just at MP Thiele.
MP Thiele. Okay, good. So I knew the 2 of these women from the Stitcher Safe Place group on Facebook. So they sort of have a group of women who get together and stitch weekly, bi-weekly, twice a week. Thank you. And but these 2 actually knew one another in a previous, we'll call it life, and then needlepoint brought them together. So do you mind telling us sort of the story about that? So go ahead, Dana.
Well, about 25 plus years ago, I was the store manager of the Laura Ashley in Seattle, which Stephanie Dozit at the same time, funny enough, in the SSP was the store manager of the Laura Ashley in Houston.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
And Michelle was the assistant manager, and we worked in retail. I mean, she was with me when the stick turned blue and my first baby was born.
Oh.
And then we kind of both had families and grew apart, and she ended up in Pennsylvania. And
Yep.
we took her.
5 or 6 years ago, I saw needlepoint looked like it was kind of fun, and I was sort of stalking my friend online, and she was doing some needlepoint and showing what she was doing, and I was like, well, I'll see what that's all about. And so I decided to come to a retreat, not knowing anything, and said I'd like to come and learn to stitch.
So which retreat was that?
In 2019 in September, it was a Barbara's needlepoint in
Oh my
Sioux
gosh.
Falls.
So, I mean, I'm not sure if you like kind of heard, this is the coolest thing. So they knew each other 20 years ago. And then about 5 or 6 years ago,
I was
she was following her on Instagram and said, wait, I like your needlepoint. We're going to get back together. So, I mean, it's so cool that needlepoint basically was kind of what brought you 2 back together, even though you had spent so many years together. So now you don't live in the same town.
Nope.
So where are you from, Michelle?
I live in South Central Pennsylvania, about 90 miles from Washington, D.C.
Very cool. And Dana, you are on the West Coast. Oh my gosh. So I think this is just the first example that you'll see of many of people who have found another connection with a friend through needlepoint. And we just think it's so cool. So are you having a good time?
We're having a wonderful time.
Good.
Needlepoint people are the best people.
Oh, I love it. That's awesome. Thank you. All right, guys, we are back and we have a couple of other friends with us here. So Ramsey is here from
Annapolis,
Maryland. I was going to say Maryland. And Shelley. Oh my gosh, I almost just lost your name. I'm so sorry. So here's how small this needlepoint community is. I walk into the room here today and I was like, I know that woman. I know that woman. Or was it last night when I said,
Last night.
I know you. Why do I know you? It's so weird. And she goes, well, you've probably seen me at market. I was like, oh, so tell us, which shop do you go to market with?
Needlepoint Alley in Lake Park.
Oh my gosh. So we've seen one another, but we've never actually had a chance to kind of hang out together. And so we were so delighted that you're here.
Well, this is amazing.
And
You guys are great.
also, excuse me, I'm going to get to the point of why the two of you know each
that's
other in
okay.
1 second.
It's okay.
But first of all, Shelley said, and you know what's funny? I only realized I was coming on Wednesday.
Thursday morning at 7:30.
So unfortunately for us, we had at least 3 or 4 people who had to cancel last minute, either for health issues or last minute family issues or something. And so she heard that we had a couple of cancellations, and your friend called and said,
My
hey, you
best
want to
friend
come?
I've known since I was 3 texted me at 7:30 Thursday morning and said, by chance, could you fly up and come to our show? And I was like,
And you're here.
I'm here.
And then Ramsey's actually here with 3 other really good friends.
Good friends from Maryland.
So I made the mistake, or maybe not, of asking them how they knew each other. And it was like, well, my mom was friends with her mom, and her brother was the debutante escort at her thing. And they were like, there were so many connections there. I couldn't even, frankly, I couldn't follow it.
Amazing.
But it's amazing how long of friends you all have been. And have you all been needlepointing for?
I'm the newbie of that group. I knew
Okay.
Susan and was introduced to the other 2, but my mother taught me to needlepoint when I was little.
But then did you meet them because of needlepoint? Or
No, I
because of
met
other friends?
Susan through other things.
Got it. But the funny part, so Ramsey came with some girlfriends that stitched. Shelly came with a girlfriend who asked her last minute to stitch. So the 2 of these women are from 2 completely separate parts of the country, don't know each other. And you get to talking was it at the reception last night?
Last night,
And somebody says something. I don't know the whole story. Tell us that really quick.
She said she was from Annapolis and she was a sailor, and I used to sail, and we said, what kind? And we talked about the Annapolis Yacht Club, and I threw out somebody's name, and she said, you don't mean? And I said, yes. And I grew up with them. And so we were at the same wedding 35 years ago.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that
She
part.
did a reading, and I was just a guest sitting in one of the pews.
Oh my gosh. And so but what I think is really cool is that you find shared things or people because of a hobby. That just happens to be
It's
needlepoint that
amazing.
we all love. But I think it's so cool. Go
and
ahead.
Susan and I met each other through a different hobby, and we both learned that we both liked the needlepoint.
Oh my gosh. What was the other hobby? Do you mind I ask?
Card making,
Oh, cool. So like literally like greeting
making
cards.
greeting cards, rubber stamping and greeting cards.
Yes, I talked to her earlier about that way that you put some stuff on a card and you put it over the toaster, at least in 1985 or 9 or something. You put it over a toaster and it like
Yeah.
bubbled up, and she's like, oh, there's a
Yeah.
fancy new tool for
Yeah,
that now.
the
But
heat gun.
correct.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yes, I forgot about that. And we'll have Susan on, I think, in a little bit. But thank you guys for being here, and thank you for sharing your story. And so we're going to continue with grabbing a couple more people to have you hear about their stories and why they're here and how they got here and how they're kind of making friends along the way. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Listen. Exactly right. Okay, we're back again. You might recognize this one, and if you don't, it's because I do a terrible job of putting my staff on camera. Because Stephanie is the backbone, I would say, at the Needlepoint Clubhouse. She does all of our ordering. She does some of the bookkeeping. I mean, this woman is amazing. And she came up here with me for this retreat to help us run we have a little table of goods that we brought. But so I'm sitting, so this is Abby. And Abby is actually here with her mother. We said earlier that there are 8 sets of mother-daughter groupings, which is so fun for us. And so Abby's here with her mother, Terry. And in fact, Terry, is the famed, really good friend of Melissa's, who was at the last Pointing It Out podcast retreat. But so I'm sitting talking to Abby and her mother, Terry, and a couple of others at the table. And I forget kind of how it came. Oh, Abby says, oh, look, Mom. And she's like showing something that she saw on Instagram. And I said, what's going on? I want to be in on this. And she says, oh, I'm watching this new Netflix show. Have you heard of it?
Drive to Survive.
Drive to Survive. And I go, wait a second. I'm like, is that the Formula One thing? And she was like, oh yeah. And her mom, Terry, says, oh, we love Formula One. F1. I want to go to Monaco and see a race. And I'm like, okay, this is bizarre. So some of you know Megan 2.0. Stephanie is Megan 2.0's mom. If you don't know what I'm referring to, there's another Megan in the shop that we started calling Other Megan, but that just kind of sounded silly. So we decided to call her Megan 2.0 because she does a lot of our Shopify and a lot of our tech stuff. So Megan and her sister Katie, so Stephanie's daughters, do a
podcast called
Dirty Driving.
I almost said Pointing It Out podcast.
No, yeah, you're on the right.
I'm on the right podcast, the wrong one. So it's Dirty Driving podcast, and it's all about Formula One racing. And the goal was to create a community of people who loved motorsports, who could talk about and hear about everything related to Formula One.
And so when I heard about this, I was like, what? Do people really do a lot of people, are a lot of people into F1, Formula One? You know, I don't know anything about it. I'm not a huge sports person. And here we are sitting at a needlepoint retreat. And Abby is like, oh yeah. And I was watching, what was it, all the other thing you were following today? The time trial, or not a time, but
the
a
qualifiers
qualifier.
for the race tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
in Barcelona.
So I said, Stephanie, get over here for a second. So Stephanie, I introduced the two of them. They sat down, started talking about Formula One. So I think the point of this is that this community is so cool. These people, and everybody here has different types of interests and different kinds of backgrounds, and we're finding friends in ways that we didn't even know that we could connect. So
Yeah.
Because
Cool.
Abby's been my friend for what, 24 hours?
Yeah, we
now?
met last
that's
night.
right. That's
Right.
right. But anyway, it's just so cool that we are able to connect to people in different ways. And
Mhm.
Abby, thank you for coming. And Stephanie has been my lifeline. She set all of our things up, and she's just been working away over there. So I think we're having a good time, and we're hoping
Absolutely.
to continue to have a great time later today. And thank you for being on here and telling your
sure.
little snippet. So I'm going to go find somebody else. Hang on just a second. Where's my button? I can never find the button. Yeah. Okay, I just ran across the room and I grabbed a couple more friends. So this is my new friend, Claire. And of course, I have a daughter, Claire, so I will never forget your name, Claire.
There we go.
And then this is my old friend, Sarah. Sarah's actually from St. Louis,
Yes.
and she's here with us. And so let me just think a couple things. So Claire, I said, hey, Claire, it's nice to meet you last night at this party. And I said, you know, what's your Instagram name? How do I know you? And she said, you got into stitching with Stitch Club Chicago, right?
I did.
So Claire actually has had a long friendship with Lauren.
I met Lauren at Stitch
At
Club
Stitch
at
Club.
the very first one, and she was the nicest. She welcomed me, and I was nervous that first one, and she was very kind.
She's the best. So Lauren, if you all don't know who we're referring to, is Sequin Lala on Instagram, and she is our our finishing manager at the Needlepoint Clubhouse. And Sarah and her daughter Anne have been coming to the shop for, I think, since we were still at our old location. I recall that. So it's been at least 5 years.
Yes.
And Anne, her daughter Anne is actually in college, so she couldn't be here. She's at TCU,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And there's a lot of good things happening between Sarah and Anne. We can talk. They're both stitchers. They're just awesome people. But I grabbed these two because they were just randomly selected to sit together at a table. And have you made any connections that just kind of, what kind of connections have you made? Tell us real quick.
We've been enjoying this conversation. We've been talking everything from what we do with families. We had a very long conversation on cancer treatment. I mean, it's kind of a fascinating day.
Yeah, and Claire lives in Chicago, and I'm from Illinois originally, so we've been talking about that a little bit as well.
Yeah, so I think what I wanted to sort of illustrate here is that, so we've had a couple of other pairs of people come over and talk, and some people have shared interests in other hobbies outside of needlepoint. Some people have found that they knew somebody that they used to know a long time ago. And I think the point is that even if you don't have another shared hobby, or this hobby is what allows people the opportunity to meet and talk and learn about other people and just kind of just get together. And the two of them came by themselves and just kind of weren't really sure who they were going to get to sit with or what they were going to have to do, but they just came in. And I think it's a testament to this community is so welcoming and
Very,
just
very much.
it just feels like we can all sit down and have a conversation and stitch and just have a great time. So I hope you've had a great time here.
Been wonderful, wonderful.
The night tomorrow.
That's what I was gonna say. We still have tonight at dinner and all day tomorrow. So thank you guys. And I'm gonna see if I can grab at least one or two other people for you all to meet because this is super fun. I just have to find my button. There we go. Okay, I'm back, and I think this is my last appearance here on this podcast. I went to go grab someone else, and in the meantime, I saw this woman who I said, wait a minute, I recognize you. Are you Standing Hair? And she goes, yeah. So then I look over and I see my friend Bren, Mrs. Howard. Hold this up. So you all will recognize these as those gorgeous Kelly Clark pieces. You might remember Melissa and I talking about how she forced me to join this class. And I have basically not touched it since. And I said, are you Standing Here? And she goes, of course, I know you. You're the girl who took our Zoom class at a soccer game in your car. And I was like, it's true. That's me. So what I didn't realize was that the two of these women now so tell me really quick. So where are you from, Lisa?
I'm San Francisco.
Okay, great. And had you just kind of gotten to know Kelly over during the Zoom class, Kelly Clark, or you knew her
So
before?
COVID hits
Yes,
and my community's gone.
yes.
And then I said, I gotta find a community if anybody's out on the, on the Zoom or any of those places, and I started searching. And the first thing I hit upon was you and Melissa,
Okay.
and I started watching from the very beginning.
Oh.
I was probably number 2
Oh,
on your
yay.
like list. And then Kelly, somehow in all of that, you
Kelly
guys were
Clark.
joining the Kelly Clark Zoom that she was offering. She had
Right.
interviewed her
Okay.
in her studio. I don't know which
Okay.
one of you did.
Melissa interviewed Kelly.
And
Yeah.
then we found out that she had this Zoom class, and it was going to be 8 weeks, every 2 weeks, 8 weeks on a Saturday, right? And
For 4 hours.
yes.
Mhm.
And then we all signed up. There were 52 of us, I think.
And she had to break it into 2 sessions, if I recall. There were 2 separate. She started one time and then she started another, but that's beside the point. What the point really quickly, I'm sorry to interrupt you, is that we all adore Kelly Clark. She's a brilliant, she's a genius. But Kelly's a giggler and she'll kind of just say, "Oh shoot, where did I go?" And I believe me, she's such a lovely, lovely human. But a savant when it comes to stitching and threads and painting. But she needs somebody to maybe just sort of, I don't know, keep her a little in line.
But she was all alone in her room.
All alone by herself in her house. So
Holding the camera, holding the canvas.
So you kind of found Lisa saying, "I'd be happy to help you figure out how to do that." And she's like over on her little tech side. And I don't really know how that developed, but everybody knew Standing Hair as the one who was kind of like, "I'll take that note, or I'll write this over on the sideline, or I'll do whatever." And I had no idea that she was here at this podcast retreat. So this is awesome. And then the 2 of you. So Bren, so funny enough, my mom's name is Brenda. I'm sorry to say her name's Brenda too. But she goes by Bren or B, and I will remember that forever. But Bren, tell us, where are you? You're from Maryland, right? No.
Nope, Arizona, New York.
Oh, right, because we had that other. I'm getting them mixed up with the Maryland group. Arizona and New York. But you do what? You work at a shop? You volunteer at a shop?
Nope.
Not at all. You're just a stitcher.
I'm just a stitcher and a painter and
She's
and a
absolutely
French student.
Yes, and a French student and
Wow.
absolutely lovely. And she
Thank
sat
you.
in front of the fireplace, which, by the way, right around the holidays was gorgeous, as we got to watch on Zoom.
and with my needlepoint stockings that my mother did.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So the 2 of you met
Yeah.
virtually
Oh, yeah.
during the Kelly Clark class. Now, is this the first time you'd met in person?
Yes.
Isn't that so fun? So was it kind of weird to be like, "Wait, I think I know your face, but are you the person?" Or had you communicated about coming to
I
this?
know that you even know what I look like so much. I mean, I wore a hat all the time.
wore a hat.
I was very
She
comfy
did. She wore
during
a
the.
hat, so I never knew.
Yeah, you really did.
Yeah.
I had to come find you.
But did you tell Kelly that you were here? And she said, "I was
So
here."
Kelly sent a little note and said, "Mrs. Howard is there."
Oh,
So then I found
fun.
you, and that's, yeah, so it's all a small world.
So, and thank you for saying that, because that's what we said at the very beginning, at the top of this, when we sort of introduced this concept, is this is a very small world. Needlepoint has brought us all together. And I just think it's very, like, when I think about the mind-blowing, like sort of thing, I don't know how else to say it, of the 2 of you, you would have never known each other ever
No.
in a million years, right? I mean, there would have been no other reason that you'd know each other, but now they've developed a friendship around needlepoint, and they giggle, and this is just such a happy thing. So thank you for coming on and telling us your story.
Thank you, Megan.
And,
Thank you very much.
I-
Thank you for having this, because now that my community is even bigger than I ever imagined it would ever be.
Oh, I just
Honestly,
love
yeah,
that.
it's great.
I just love that. So thank you. And I'm gonna pause this again, and Melissa's gonna be back. So here we go.
And we're back. So as Megan said, she's taken the brunt of this and brought you so many fun people. I can't even tell you guys how awesome it has been to be here. Just so everyone, knitters and needlepointers are the greatest people in the world. Of course, this is a needlepoint retreat, but Liz is here with me. If you have not been watching Yarn Time at our shop, Liz is our yarn manager. She actually gonna have a new role going forward. Do we have a name for your new role?
We don't have a name, no.
We think it's gonna be like event coordinator, because she did so much of this event with me and all on her own. She'd just say, "What do you think?" I'd be like, yeah, whatever you think.
Yeah.
So
Get it done.
yeah, so you've done a great job. It's just been so fun. How do you feel about things?
It's gonna be new and
interesting, but I mean, I've probably spent, I don't know, a good hour or two today, helping people pick stitches and kind of discussing why would we use this stitch for a background versus this stitch and what's our goal, and kind of going through books that I love. I'm like, oh, that's my favorite book. That's my favorite book. And kind of flipping through and kind of giving them a little education on why I would pick one stitch over the other. So it's stuff I do every day, I would say already. It just wasn't part of my title.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, I'm ready to do it and I'm excited to teach. I think my big background is teaching, coaching. It's kind of something I do anyway. So I think it's probably going to morph into a little bit more of an educational live video, I guess. Right?
Yeah.
So we'll
And
see.
what do you think about the weekend so far?
Oh my
Like,
God.
have things gone as we planned? What do you think?
It's really, I think it's gone better, to be honest, because I am a little bit sometimes I'm on the opposite side of, I don't know if that's going to work, Melissa. And she's the, it's going to work, Liz. So
Because I said it will.
exactly. So things have gone really well, but I think the thing that has really blown my mind is how many friends I have that I've never met. It's really cool. And Tess and I were talking about this. We've been friends for a while, but we've never met in person. And it's amazing that we've grown a real relationship, a real friendship, but have not been, you know, in the same proximity.
Geographically in the same spot.
But it's amazing. It's like a new way to make friends and build relationships. And there's so many people who I've worked with, and I know their stories and I know their backgrounds and they know stuff about me. And it's amazing to think I have an entire room of friends.
And so many people walked in that we have had so many phone conversations with.
Yes.
They walked in the door and they're like Chris Cranford. She's like, hi, I'm Chris Cranford. And I threw my arms around her. Like, I mean, it's kind of crazy if you think about it. But
And I did
it's
say
really
to someone, I looked at the list of everyone who was chosen, you know, the lottery, and it's a greatest hits, you know, it's like, we love all our customers, but I can't say that every single one on the list. I'm like, oh my gosh,
I get
this
to meet
person,
them.
I get to meet them. I've talked to them several times. I've dealt with their finishing or whatever. Like, I feel like I know every single person. So it's
So
kind of overwhelming in a wonderful way.
So as we said at the beginning, this is the second Pointing It Out retreat. So kind of our plan is every spring, assuming that we, you know, survive the rest of the weekend,
Yes.
we will be in Detroit doing this thing. And every fall we will be in St. Louis doing our Pointing It Out retreat. So the upcoming retreat for the fall will be November 11th to the 13th. Right now it is just a save the date. This has been a lottery system for every retreat we've done because we don't ever want to be like who got there first. That's no fun. So what did we have? 212 people, is that right?
That entered the lottery. That
So we
had
had
done.
212 and then we picked 60 names.
Yeah.
So it's kind of sad, but we just felt like that's the safest way to do it. So if you're interested in joining our next retreat, yay, we can't wait. So keep your eye on the Pointing It Out podcast Instagram page.
Yes.
And Megan will put out the lottery is open. You'll have a week, 10 days, something like that to throw your hat in the ring. And then
Full
see
name.
what happens. And we pull names and we pull your name. We pretty much think that you're coming. So hopefully if you throw your hat in the ring, you're on board.
And if you have a friend, if Melissa and I wanted to go, if you're part of a group, the cool thing is we pick you, your buddy comes too. So we have no intention of splitting up a crew. So if you would like to come with more than one person, more than yourself, you're in the lottery together. So I always thought that was kind of cool because we have a lot of small groups here that have now become kind of a part of a big group, which is awesome.
Yeah. So I think we capped the groups last time at 4. So I'm guessing that'll probably be the same. But next time Megan's the chief and I'm the follower. So and I can't wait to just show up and have fun. So
it's gonna be awesome.
I bet Liz will end up in St. Louis with us next time.
I hope so.
Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed getting to meet some of the people that have been here. I hope you'll consider coming another time. It's really been a fabulous weekend. So I hope you all are enjoying stitching at home. Yeah, and I guess that's it. So have a great night. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.